I can only say that we are somewhere very close to doubling it. But then it was Mr. Chindambaram again. So also, the question was raised about reduction in the corporate tax. Are you giving bonanza to the large corporates? So I would want to just highlight a few facts. So in 1994, under Dr. Manmohan Singh, the corporate tax was cut to 40% from then prevailing 45%. Then in 1997, sir, the then finance minister, who honorable member is here now, Shri P. Chindambaram ji, brought the corporate tax down to 35% from 40%, after also abolishing the surcharge. Then from 2000 onwards, surcharges were back, raising the total corporate tax again to about 36 to 38%, which continued for the next 5 years after that. But then it was Mr. Chindambaram again who reduced the corporate tax to 30% in 2005, although along with the surcharge, the actual rate was about 33%. Were they bonanza to corporates also? Were they bonanzas at that time? So if that is bonanza at that time, bonanza now, it is not. Because we think when you reduce the corporate tax, and especially post the 2014 situation that we've been monitoring, getting the banks to be healthier, getting the economy to come back after being in fragile 5 situation, the twin balance sheet problems where companies were laden with debt and so on, cutting down the corporate tax was only following some of those measures, which is important for business to grow in India, manufacturing to grow in India. So I just want that to be upfront put before this August. Honorable former finance minister also raised this question about doubling of the real GDP. He observed that from 1990-91, it took 12 years to double the GDP, that is 25 lakh crores to 50 lakh crores. And then it took only another 10 years to double to from 50 to 99 lakh crores. So pointing out that since this government is in the 9th year, will we double the GDP, going by the trend that every 10 years you see them doubling? So Indian economy certainly witnessed an average growth of 6.6 from 2014-15 to 19-20. But these 10 years will have to also be looked at, particularly the last 5 years will have to be looked at from the point of view of COVID as well, where 1 full year we had to get into negative terrain as a result of the way in which globally all economies were thrown, hither-thither, and the lockdown and so on. So despite that, I can only say that we are somewhere very close to doubling it. We still have 1.5 years to go for completing the 10 years, but that is something which I want to draw your attention to. The latest World Bank report has given a clear, pointed analysis where it says macro fiscal fundamentals are better than they were during the taper tantrum episode in 2013, speaking about India, when India was classified under a fragile 5. So if macroeconomic fundamentals are better now, post the COVID, and this is not my observation, this is coming from World Bank, and I'm not comparing it with how things were handled during the taper tantrum 2013. It is World Bank saying that we have in India kept a macro fiscal fundamentals better now than how it was kept at that time. And multiple times, both the IMF and the World Bank have said in several occasions, India is the brightest spot in the global economy and is an island of hope for global growth. So I just want to highlight the fact that real GDP growth and doubling of it is certainly a good indicator for which any government should work. But the way in which we have handled during COVID has kept us away from recession, whereas those who followed certain common principles, which was heard as advice given here also, have gone into recession.